Hey heathens, I got bad news. I'm about to waste some amount of your time with a stupid book for no apparent reason. It's a point that I could make in a minute and a half, but instead I will take longer to make sure that no one misunderstands what I'm saying. It's Genesis chapter 5. Time for a little begatting to get on. Get your begat on. Get your begat on. Okay, sorry. Got my keg refilled, man. Come on. Alright, this is the book of generations of Adam. In the day God created man in the likeness of God that made him. I want you to follow some of these timelines, folks. Male and female created them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years. He begat a son of his own likeness after his own image named Seth. Now notice they left Cain and Abel out of this thing completely. But anyway, the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800, and he begat sons and daughters, and then he lived to be 930 years and he died. Seth lived 105 years before he had Enos. He lived 807 years having his sons and daughters, for a total of 912 years, and he died. Enos lived 90 years before he had his child, and 815 years having his sons and daughters, for a total of 905 years. His child has 70 years before Enos has his grandchildren, and 840 years of children there. All the days of Cain were 910, and he dies. The next generation comes up 65 years from the grandchildren's realm there, and I'm saying this so that you understand that these little groups that are going on, these people are living 900 years and better, and it's taken them somewhere, varying anywhere from 100 years or as short as 60 years to over 100 years to have their children, unlike us who have them every 20 years, and unlike Cain, who seemed to manage 5 generations of people in the same 130 years that it took Adam and Eve to have Seth. So anyway, 800 years there, for a total of 895 years. And then Jared lived 162 years before he had Enoch. 800 years worth of sons and daughters. 962 years and he dies. Enoch lived 65 years. Enoch is a little different though. Check this out. Enoch lived 65 years before he had Methuselah, and then God took Enoch 365 years later. Everyone else lived to be 900. God took Enoch. Doesn't say why, just he did. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. So God just took Enoch, I guess because he liked him. Methuselah lives 187 years before he has Lamech, has sons and daughters for 782 years, and dies at the age of 969 years. Lamech lived 182 years, and then they have a son. Now I'll read to you. And he called his son. He called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters, which turns out was a bad idea. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Noah was 500 years old and begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or as I like to name them, Larry, Moe, and Curly. So Noah is born when the earth is 1,056 years old. 1,056 years old. It takes the average person, apparently, somewhere around 70 to 80 years before they have their first children, but they get to live until they're around 900 years old. And they believed this crap. So anyway, this all despite the fact that most people will tell you that the average life expectancy of the skeletons that we have found in for the cavemen and various other prehistoric hominids and that sort of thing, they didn't live much past 30 to 40 years old before something ate them. But anyway, these people lived 900 years old. The important part, though, is that it's 1,056 years that have gone by. In 1,056 years, all those generations multiplying themselves out create all the people in the world that Noah is now here to destroy. Because now we're on Genesis chapter 6. And that is what Genesis chapter 6 is all about. This is when God decides that He's going to destroy the earth. And all that begatting is going to be for naught. So, the craziness of all these Genesis chapters and all this stuff going on and all this begatting in Genesis 5. And don't forget now, Cain has been off on his own doing his own thing. Now, Cain's having kids every 20 years. His generations are. These folks are taking 65 to 100 years to have their children. We don't know how old Cain gets before he dies. But the bottom line is now we're here at Noah. And everyone who lives is about to die. So, here we go with the story of Noah. We're going to save that for another time. Ask your stories for Genesis, and I'll stick all these into a playlist, so please feel free to check out my username. You go to my profile page and click on playlist, and there'll be one that'll say Genesis, and I'll put all of the Genesis books in there so you can go back and review them for all the knuckleheads who ask you to tell you something about Genesis. The most important thing about this whole deal is, though, I can't remember if I said this already or not. I did this once before, and I may have forgotten that I'm doing a new one, and I didn't say it in this one. But just to reiterate, in case I haven't, a lot of people say that Genesis is metaphorical. If Genesis is metaphorical, then if Adam and Eve weren't real, then neither was Cain and Abel, neither was Seth, neither was all these other people that continued to go on until we get to Noah, which takes away the flood. I mean, you're pretty much wiping out everything that the Bible's supposed to stand for, because I got bad news for you. Moses is coming up real soon. Oh yeah, and if all this lineage isn't real, then Jesus, he gets traced back to Adam too.